I'm trying to see in the viewfinder if this sweater is still see-through, but I can honestly not tell. I have already put on a skim stank, so there's not much more I can do, and it's too late to go back now, because today, as promised, we're going to be discussing everything you need to know about having your already existing Hermes pieces tweaked, and even having completely bespoke, unique pieces made just for you. And if you thought that designing a special order bag, as beautiful as they are, is the epitome of being an Hermes VIP, well, I have some secrets to share. So if you'd like to find out how you can have Hermes pieces customized to truly fit you, whether you are brand new to Hermes or you're a seasoned collector who's been around the block, then make sure to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't done so yet, and keep on watching. Now, if you've been with me for a while, you may remember that we already talked about this topic, I want to say a couple of years ago, but there are two things I want you to know. One of which is not going to be a surprise, which is that I was not great at doing YouTube when I first started. It was never an aspiration of mine. It was never a dream for me to become a YouTuber. It's something that I started doing as a hobby after leaving my really stressful corporate job, and I just kind of fell into it and also fell in love with the process, and I kind of just stuck with it. But it took me years to be a little bit more comfortable in front of the camera. So there are older videos that I'm going to start redoing, and it's because I want to be able to bring them to you with the skills that I have now, with the resources that I have available, because I do believe in the information that I shared, but I want to communicate them a little bit more eloquently. So this is one of those videos that I wanted to redo for you guys. And the other thing that I wanted you to know is that I never script my videos, so I can sit down and film a video on the exact same topic 10 different times. Each time it is going to be slightly different because I don't have a script that I stick to. Each time I'll bring up something new because I really just blurt out the first thing that comes to mind, and I'm not sure if it is the best way of doing it, but it is what I find most organic. So I never parrot myself, I never mirror the exact same video. So I didn't rewatch that old video of mine because I didn't accidentally want to, just repeat the same things. So I'm hoping I'll be able to give you some new information, even if you've already seen that previous video of mine. So I just wanted to clarify that. And if there are any other videos that you saw from me in the past and you were like, okay, G, I loved what you were sharing, but I didn't really understand because your settings were not right, you didn't have a proper mic, you didn't show enough mud shots or detail pictures or detail shots, then please let me know in the comment section, and I am more than happy to redo those videos for you, because I do believe in the information that I did share. But I feel like at this point, I'm hoping I am able to present that information to you in a little bit more of a professional fashion. And I'm by no means saying that I'm an expert. I am still trying to get better and better with each and every single one of my videos, but I am trying. And without further ado, let's dive straight into discussing how you can have Hermes pieces customized. We're going to go from the ones that require the least involvement. These are the easiest ways to have your already existing pieces customized. And then we'll work our way towards really the most exclusive experiences that Hermes reserves for the true VIP, their most valued clients. But some of the things that we'll discuss at the beginning do not require you to have any track record. You don't have to have an already existing relationship with the brand. You can take advantage of any one of these experiences without having virtually any experience with the brand. Now, the easiest way to have your pieces customized is to actually have them embossed with your initials, or really any series of letters, although most people will choose their initials as I did. You can take advantage of this service completely free of charge, whether you bought your piece directly from the boutique or even on the Preloved market. Almost any full leather piece can be embossed. You can choose not only the font that you want them to use, but also the color. So you can choose from palladium, gold, and you can also choose something called blind embossing, which means that they only use heat. There isn't any actual color on the embossing. Now, a lot of people will say to go for color, and the color Actually, you might not be able to choose. It depends on the hardware of your piece. So if you're having a piece or even a bag embossed that has palladium hardware, they'll use silver in the embossing or blind, depending on what you choose. And then if the hardware is gold, they're going to use gold. So I guess you don't have that much freedom, but you can choose between a color or going for a blind embossing. Now, what people will usually recommend is that you go for a colored embossing because the color will eventually fade, but the heat stamp will not. So you will always have that blind embossing regardless of how long you actually have the bag in your possession, whereas the foil will eventually fade. So that is just something for you to keep in mind. But I personally prefer the blind embossing, and it is a service that Hermes offers completely free of charge if you live in the US and you live near the Madison Avenue boutique or the store in Beverly Hills. Those two stores actually have dedicated after sales teams, which means that if you drop off your piece to be embossed there, you might get them back a little bit quicker. But even if you don't live near either one of those stores, you shop at a smaller boutique, you can still take advantage of this. The only difference is that it might take a little bit longer because you will have to have your store ship the bag to, or the piece that you're having embossed, to the closest workshop, but it's something that they're going to take care of completely for you. It's, as I mentioned, something that you don't actually have to pay for. However, you do have to keep in mind that your piece has to be made of leather. It cannot have a silk or a canvas lining because obviously this is something that they do with heat, and there is the potential to damage the lining if it's made of silk or it's made of canvas. So they will always make sure that the piece is made of leather. But a lot of people get things like their Ulysses notebook cover or the tarmac passport holder. Some of these more traditional Hermes pieces can be embossed, and so can your favorite bags. So if you have a Birkin or a Kelly that you would like to customize, you can actually have those pieces embossed with your initials too. And you can not only choose the font, the letters that go in your bag, the color, but you can also choose the placements. When it comes to bags, there are a few different places that you can choose from. You can either have your initials go on the clochette, which is my favorite way of doing it. I personally don't have initials on any one of my bags, but most of my clochettes are embossed. They can do, I think, max 3 letters regardless of the size. So most of my clochettes, I should say, are engraved with my initials, but then some of them I thought would be romantic to have engraved with not only my initials, but also with my ex's. So some of my bags do have my ex's initials on them too. Well, the mix of our two initials. So that's something that you can also do. And then you can also choose for the initials to actually go on the bag. The initials can either go on the top part of the flap underneath the twist closure, or at one point you could also choose for your initials to go on the sangles, but I don't think that is currently being offered. I mean, back in the day, Hermes was a lot more lenient about a lot of things, including having pieces embossed, because for example, now you can only have leather pieces embossed and they cannot be made of exotic skin. So if you have an exotic piece that you're trying to emboss, Hermes is not willing to do that for you anymore, whereas back in the day that wouldn't have been an issue. But it's something for you to keep in mind if you would like to have your already existing pieces tweaked and customized and personalized. This is a really easy, fun, and quick way of doing it. In fact, Hermes will do, I'm not sure if they still do them, but they did them at one point. They used to do these embossing events where they would take a craftsman from a larger flagship to a local store. They would bring all their machinery and you could have your pieces embossed on the spot right in front of you, which was a really, really fun way of doing it. So that might be something that you want to keep your eyes peeled for. It might be something that Hermes brings back or you see being offered at your store. But even if there isn't a specific event, just take your pieces to your local boutique and ask them about this embossing experience, because it is a really fun and easy way of making things just a little bit more personalized. And speaking of personalization, what if you would like to have a more unique piece made for you, but you don't have a long-standing relationship with the brand. Well, at this point, thankfully, it's not an issue because you can have even pieces personalized online. You can choose from a select group of pieces that can be personalized to fit your aesthetic. This is a service that Hermes introduced, I want to say a couple of years ago, which allows you to personalize some of their most iconic and most fundamental pieces, including the Calvi card holder, the Bastia coin purse, and even their iconic belt straps, which is a really fun, engaging experience that you can participate in online, or you can also do it in store. But it basically allows you to choose one of these three pieces and have them personalized to an extent. Now, of course, this is not going to be as in depth as having a bag custom made, but you can choose from a few different colors. You can choose the color for the exterior of the piece, you can choose a color for the lining, and you can even have the pieces embossed with your initials or a fun character as you are placing your order. So if you love the Bastia, if you love the Calvi, or if you're a fan of Hermes's belt kits, this is something that you can have a lot of fun with. Personally, if I was to choose one, I did try to place an order for a special order Calvi when this service first launched, but I think I think it was cancelled for some reason and I never reordered it again, which I'm not mad about, to be honest, because I don't really use the Calvis that I already have at this point. So it's not something that I really need or I really miss, but I remember I might have even done a video on me placing that order. Anyway, long story short, if you were to ask me which piece to order, I would personally suggest that you start with the Calvi, because the Bastia, while some people love it, I didn't find that much use for it. Whereas when it comes to the Calvi, you can not only use it as a credit card holder, but you can also use those to organize your bags. They fit not only cards, but also cash and even little trinkets. So for me, the Calvi is a lot more multifaceted. There's a lot more that you can do with the Calvi compared to the Bastia in my experience. And then obviously, if you're a fan of Hermes's belt kits, if you already have some belt buckles in your collection, you cannot go wrong with having a leather strap customized, because it is something that you are going to take advantage of and you are going to get your money's worth out of. You can choose what color you want each side to be, and you can obviously have them customized with your initials or even with little fun characters, and none of these pieces will really break the bank. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that these pieces are not offered in the US all year round. I think you can always find them online in Europe, but in the States it might be a seasonal thing, so it's something that you want to keep your eyes out for. Let's move on to something that Hermes really doesn't do that often these days, but when I first started buying Hermes, it was quite a big thing. It's not something that you could just walk into the boutique and ask for, but as long as you had a decent relationship with the brand, it was certainly something that you were able to at least ask about, which is something called a rack order. I don't think it's something that Hermes really offers these days, but this was basically a way for you to slightly tweak already existing pieces that are or that were in production at the time. This did not include bags, however. So here I'm talking about shoes. There were certain shoes that people loved, so iconic shoes like the jumping boots or the orange sandals that you could have made out of different leathers that were not necessarily part of the seasonal offering. And we will move on to talking about what you can do these days if you're a fan of Hermes shoes, how you can have those customized. So that is coming up, but back in the day, this was the only way for you to have any shoes customized or made out of a leather that wasn't technically part of the seasonal range. You could request home pieces to be made in a certain color or in a certain leather. You could even have SLGs specially made for you. I think made in exotic skins. They were not quite as lenient about leather goods as they were about any other piece, but what I think Hermes clients miss the most is having fine jewelry custom made or customized to fit your needs and wants. Well, needs that's not really a term that we can use in this video, more like your wants and your desires. So let's say you're in love with the Kelly bracelet, but the Kelly bracelet is only offered in either plain gold or with pave colorless diamond, but your favorite stone is, I don't know, pink sapphire. You could actually request for Hermes to have custom pieces made for you using your favorite stones and your favorite shade of gold. Now, obviously, this didn't mean that if you requested something, it was guaranteed to be delivered, but you could wish for something. And if Hermes found that they have the bandwidth and they have the expertise to actually deliver, they were able to have pieces customized truly for you. But I don't think it's something that is as easy to come by or wish for these days as it once was. Obviously, I just mentioned shoes, and while you cannot really have shoes customized that easily, I think purely because Hermes is way too popular at this point for them to be able to grant personal wishes. There is a service that was introduced a couple of years ago called the Exotic Lab, which allows you to have some of Hermes's most iconic shoes customized in exotic skins. You can choose from a range of shoes, which of course includes things like the orange sandals, the sheep sandal, the Izmir for men, the Paris loafers, even the Avantage. So you can also have sneakers customized, and you can choose from the most beautiful range of exotic skins. And you can of course also choose the size. So you can choose lizard, and I think alligator, both in lisse and which means shiny and matte finish. Now do keep in mind that these pieces are not for the faint of heart. I remember asking about having the Avantage sneakers ordered in matte alligator. I asked for it in black. No, I didn't ask for the shoes, but I asked for a quote in the black matte alligator option and also in the Himalaya colorway. I think in black matte it would have been just over 9,000 euros for the shoes, and of course I would have had to pay a 50% deposit, and I think it would have been just over 10,000 euros for the Himalaya colorway, which for me was just not something I could justify, especially not for a pair of sneakers that I will use and abuse, I'll wear, and I'll get them dirty. And I'm not really, to be honest, that much of a shoe person either, but for me that was just outrageous. But if you are a fan of exotics, if you love your shoes, if you have a large shoe collection and you're looking for something truly special, the Exotic Lab is something that you can take advantage of. It's not something that is reserved for the true Hermes VIP. Now, I'm not saying that you can just walk into a store and ask for this, but I think there is a little bit easier of an entry into this experience because there aren't as many people requesting these as there are trying to place a special order for a bag. So you can choose not only your favorite style of shoe. Now obviously you cannot choose seasonal styles, they have to be part of the classic Hermes range, but you can also choose the exotic leather that you want it in and the color. Now not all exotic leathers are offered for every single shoe. So for example, if you want lizard, I think there are only select pieces that you can order in lizard. When I asked about lizard, because I did ask if I could, let's say, have an Avantage made of lizard, they did tell me that for men, lizard is only being offered for the Izmir sandals, but you do want to check and see what's available in what leather, what color, and what finish. But just keep in mind that this is going to be a pricey experiment, but if you're a fan of exotic and if you're a fan of shoes, this is definitely something that I think you will find really enjoyable. We all know and love Hermes for their incredible leather pieces, but did you know that their tailoring is just as exceptional, and they offer custom tailoring not only for men but also for women, which might be something that you've seen around. You might have seen master tailors walking around their Hermes if you shop at one of their larger flagships, for example, in New York, in the old Madison Avenue boutique. If you remember, there were two stores right across from each other. The top floor of the men's floor was actually reserved for their custom tailoring services. And then in Paris, they also have a dedicated custom tailoring team and custom tailoring section, which allows you to choose from a huge selection of beautiful fabrics, cuts, and finishes. And you can have not only more formal pieces made, but you can have pretty much anything that can be custom tailored, made for you to fit your needs end ones. And if you are looking for something a little bit more wearable, something a little bit more fun and playful compared to a suit or a shirt, you can actually have silk pieces custom made, which is a really fun experience. It's something that I did consider briefly, but to be honest, I'm just not that colorful of a person to wear a silk shirt made of different silk scarves, because if there is a certain silk scarf that you love, if there's a print that you're in love with, you cannot just choose any silk print, unfortunately. It has to be pre-approved by Hermes, but you can choose from a huge range. You can buy 5 of your favorite scarves and have those turned into a silk shirt. You can choose pretty much any detail on the shirt. You can choose the fit, you can choose the color, even the sleeve length. I think the only limitation is that you cannot just choose any scarf, because obviously certain scarf prints are too busy or too colorful to be made into a cohesive shirt design. Hermes would like to make sure that the end result is not only something that will please you, but it is something that will also fit their aesthetic, and it won't look like something that was just kind of thrown together. So you always want to make sure that the scarf that you choose is pre-approved to be made into a silk shirt. And if it's something that you would like to participate in, make sure that you talk to your home store and your advisor. But usually the process is that you would choose the scarf. They would make sure that it's something that has been pre-approved to be made into a shirt. Then you have to buy 5 of those scarves, and then there, I think, is a flat fee of about €1,000 for a shirt, and then you either have to send those scarves. Well, your boutique can either take your measurements and send the scarves on your behalf to the closest flagship that offers this service, or they might actually ask you to travel to the master tailor yourself. So if you live in Europe, you might be asked to travel to Paris. If you live in the States, they might ask you to go to the boutique on Madison Avenue or the store in Beverly Hills. And then the master tailor will take your measurements. They will go through each and every single step with you, so you can choose the fit, the color, each and every single detail, and then your shirt should arrive within a couple of months. But it is something that is incredibly fun, especially if you are a lover of Hermes silk prints. If you're a scarf collector and you're like, I have all these scarves and I need something more, I want something special, because some of Hermes silk scarves are truly like a piece of art. In fact, I have an in-depth video explaining what makes Hermes scarves so special, which I can make sure to link down below for you. But if you do agree, and if you are a fan of Hermes silk prints, this is something that I think you would very much enjoy. And obviously shirts are just the beginning. You can also have silk pants, silk shorts made. They can even make little headbands and little scrunchies using the silk pieces that are left over, because they won't always need the 5 silk scarves that you bought. But that's just kind of what they ask you to do, just to make sure that no matter what you request, they have enough material and they won't run out of it. But sometimes there will be leftover, which they can turn into something really cute and fun for you. So if you're a fan of silk scarves, shirts are just the beginning. At this point, I'm sure most of you are familiar with the so-called special order bag offer, which some people also call the horseshoe stem bag offer, but technically the official Hermes term is the a la carte experience, which is usually reserved for some of Hermes's more valued clients. It's an experience offered twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring, where these valued clients are able to place an order for their dream bag with certain restrictions, because you cannot just order any bag you want. You have to choose from the Hermes portfolio of bags that are currently in production. So most people will obviously go for Birkins, Kellys, or Constances, but in theory you can choose any one of Hermes's bags that is currently being produced, and you can choose from a seasonal list of leathers and colors. You can choose the leather for the exterior of the bag, you can choose the color for the lining, you can choose the stitching. Obviously, once you have selected the size and the structure for the bag, you can also choose the stitching, the hardware. You can also choose the strap length if the bag comes with a strap, and you can actually have your bag embossed on the spot. Well, obviously, since the bag is being made for you, they won't be able to emboss it right then and there. But if you ask for the embossing, your bag will arrive with the embossing already done. So there is a lot you can do with it, but you cannot just choose any color or any leather. You have to make sure that it is on the a la carte menu being offered for the season, which does change. I mean, there are staple colors and staple leathers that will never be removed from the list, but there are seasonal colors and seasonal leathers that will change, and you always want to make sure that the color that you select from the a la carte trunk is not only on the menu, but that it's also offered in the bag that you're requesting. So when I placed my special order bag, I wanted to get, I think I wanted either a suede Birkin or a suede Kelly, and even though suede was being offered for the season, it was actually only offered in a Constance. So it wasn't something that I was able to order, even though the leather was there and the bag was there. The two of them could not be combined, so you always want to cross-reference to make sure that the color and the leather that you're choosing is being offered in the bag that you actually want it in. So it's not quite as simple as it sounds, but I'm sure your advisor will walk you through the experience. And since you already know so much about this, there are a couple of things that I wanted to point out, which might not be common knowledge. Number one, that the bag that you order will not be any more expensive than if you bought that bag off the shelf. So just because it is a custom piece, it's not going to be any more expensive than if it was just a regular offer. You will not be asked to pay for the bag or even place a deposit because your special order bag is not guaranteed to be delivered. It can be canceled anytime. So it doesn't happen often as long as you choose the color and the leather from the menu and you make sure that the leather and the color is being offered in the bag that you're choosing, which is why I'm placing so much emphasis on cross-referencing everything. But if you choose from the list and you make sure that the leather you selected is being offered in the bag, it's very unlikely that your bag will be canceled, but it is always something that you have to keep in mind, which is why you're not requested to place a deposit or to pay for the bag in advance. You'll only pay for the bag once it's delivered to the store. And do keep in mind that these bags can take anywhere between a few months to a few years to be delivered, depending on what you asked for. Usually bags made of regular skins won't take longer than a year and a half, but if you order something in exotic skin, which only certain boutiques can request exotic bags, and the reason is that Hermes has much fewer craftspeople who have the expertise to craft bags using exotic skins, which is why not all boutiques are allowed to place an order for exotic bags and why it can take that long for these bags to be produced. And I know exactly what you're thinking. Gee, this is really annoying. I love exotic bags, but I don't want to wait years for my exotic bag to be delivered. Well, the good thing is that let's say you order a bag in 2023, your bag would be in 2023 $30,000, but your bag doesn't actually arrive until, let's say, 2026, which, I mean, that's a long time. 3 years hopefully won't take that long, but it's possible that it can. Well, obviously Hermes has price increases each and every single year, so it's very possible that by 2026 that exact same bag would have increased to $40,000. Well, the good thing is that you won't actually pay the price of that bag, the 2026 price of that bag. Instead, you'll be paying the price of how much that bag would have been when you actually placed the order. I hope that makes sense. That was a lot more confusing to describe than I thought. So long story short, it doesn't matter how many price increases Hermes goes through, you won't actually be expected to pay the most up-to-date price. Instead, you'll be paying the price that your bag would have been when you placed the order, because obviously it would be unfair for Hermes to expect you to pay a price that you cannot predict. So you can actually save quite a bit of money. So I hope that will give you a little bit more patience and a little bit more hope to wait for your bag. Let's say you have a dream that one day you will drive a car that has an interior that was crafted using Hermes' divine leathers and exquisite know-how, well, that dream can really easily become your reality as long as you have the budget for it, because Hermes actually has a dedicated team of engineers, master craftsmen, and the best of the best tailors to make your dreams come true in the so-called Horizon experience, which this is something that is truly reserved for the Hermes VVVVIP. If you thought that having a bag specially made for you is as exclusive as it gets, think twice, because obviously special order bags are beautiful. They are a really fun way for you to create the bag that your heart is truly after, but it's also a great way for Hermes to plan their production. It was explained to me before how it works, and it does help Hermes somehow with their planning and their forecasting when it comes to special order bags. But if you would really like to create something without any limits, without any boundaries, you can truly request whatever you want. That's what the Horizon experience is for. You can choose anything that you want, and Hermes is able to produce it for you. Now, it's very unlikely that you can select a bag. So let's say if you want a special Birkin or a Kelly, I'm sure that they have done it, because I know that they have done, for example, Birkin bags using yellow diamonds. So it's an option to ask for some of those bags, but this is really reserved for those who want something really unique. So for example, there was a client in New York who carried an apple with her to work every single day. So Hermes decided to design her a bag specifically made to fit her daily apples. They can do surfboards. They have done solid silver bottles, which some of these things actually make it into production afterwards if they turn out well. Hermes sometimes tweaks them and then puts them into not mass production, but into production for a wider audience. But they have also done private jets. They have done ski accessories for people. They have done the interiors of cars. So there isn't anything Hermes would not be able to do for you. The only limit is your imagination and obviously your budget. But if you are a serious Hermes client, if you've been buying Hermes for a while and there's something that you really, really want and you cannot find anywhere, maybe it's worth asking about at your local Hermes store. Now, I'm sure that it's not going to be an easy task for your local boutique to deliver for you, but I know that if there is something that you really want, it can be pitched to Hermes, and if they have the bandwidth, I'm sure it would be the experience of a lifetime. And my friends, this brings us to the end of today's video. Please let me know in the comment section, what would you have Hermes custom make for you if you could choose anything? If money was no object, if you had no limits, what is it that you would ask Hermes to do for you? Would you go for something classic that you're struggling to get your hands on, or would you go for something really crazy, really out there? Please let me know in the comment section. I would love to be inspired by your imagination and your dreams. And while you're down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. I will make sure to have my 7RP discount code linked in the info box for you, because I was given a discount code to share with you guys for the next week, and you know that 7RP inserts are my favorite, so I just wanted to remind you that you do still have a few days to use that code if you would like to get your hands on a 7RP insert with a little bit of a discount. But anyway, I really appreciate you being here and watching, and I hope to see you back here with a new video really, really soon.